Brilliant. Good day, and everybody. Welcome to In Global Conversations with Quest Solution Partners. Today, we are hosting our first podcast of many to come later in the year. And the objective behind the podcast today is just business coaches getting together from various areas of the world to inform the public and the audience of the benefits of using a business coach in your working environment every day. So today, I'd like to welcome our special guest speakers, Mr. Dave Foley from Boston in the USA, as well as Marco Server from Croatia. Dave Foley is the CEO of Unique Sales and Strategy. He's involved in the retail growth strategy in the USA, and he works with various food retailers and outlets to increase their sales performance. And Marco Server is from the Croatia area. He's involved in EU funding, the food business as well, the CEO of AgriBlock, and involved in a few project management roles in Croatia. And as both of them very informative, very experienced gentlemen in the business coaching sector. And I'd just like to open up, Dave, if you'd like to introduce yourself to start off with.
Thank you. Well, Stuart, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm honored to be on your first, episode of the year. Like Stuart said, Dave Foley, Unique Sales and Strategy, and I'm a business coach and a retail growth strategist. I have years of experience in the food business, from sales to retail. And so what I focus on is really helping companies get to the next level in their endeavor to be successful with retail or getting their product to the market.
Brilliant. Marco, would you like to just say a few words before we begin?
Sure. Thank you, Stuart, for inviting me for today's podcast. It's a pleasure to be here today. A little bit about myself. So I'm a long-time usage and project leader for different European projects. So my primary goal is business processes and business expenditure extension to different projects in development and in products that the company wants to do. But my focus is primarily how to enable the companies to get as much public funding as possible. So the pressure on internal resources, financial resources are as minimum as possible. Also, Stuart mentioned one of my key projects that I work on right now is a company called AgriBlock, which is an autonomous vehicle company that we want to produce robots for control of the weeds on the farmer fields. So I have some experience in sales, research and development, and also in agricultural sector, farming specifically.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. So let me just start off. Thank you, Dave, as well as Marco. The first question I'd like to ask you, Dave, today is, what are the primary roles and responsibilities of a business coach, and how do they differ from those being a mentor or a manager in the business sector?
Sure. So first, a business coach really focuses on helping their clients professionally develop skills, setting and achieving goals. It could be improving business performance. They differ from, say, a mentor who might provide guidance based on personal experience, and managers who oversee employees day to day. But really, a business coach is really on that journey with them to help them get there. So you can also call it accountability. So they, they help them and they work with them right along the process.
Yeah. And this just for everyone out in South Africa, I know the business coaching role is a very new role in our business world. It's only really been around the last few years, but as time gradually progresses, we obviously try and make the public and the business sector aware of using a business coach and holding them accountable. I think the accountability is one of the key fact points you just mentioned there, is that they have somebody that can answer their questions, that can hold them accountable to the goals we set in place from the beginning when we start working with the various accounts.
Right. And to that point, too, one other point is, when you look at consultants, right, versus coaches. So a consultant's going to come in with their expertise. They're going to do their project, and then they're going to hand that over to you, and then they are on to their next project work, and you have your choice of what to do with it, right? With a coach, is you're there kind of coaching them, right? You're there, your accountability, motivating, but also trying to help them reach it. And if they're not, how do you adapt and change and find solutions
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah. In order for them to achieve that, absolutely. Marco, over to you. What are the most common challenges or misconceptions that businesses may have about integrating coaching into their organizational culture, and how can this be addressed by business coaches?
I would say there's several things that I would like to emphasize here. I mean, one of the key maybe issues here is like lack of awareness and understanding, especially for the, let's say, countries that started with business coaching in their network, which is also the case with Croatia. I mean, we have a couple of years more than maybe you have in South Africa, but nevertheless, it's still something completely new. So it's awareness or understanding, why should I have a business coach? What it can help me out in my day-to-day businesses, and also with the expenditure of my business, how he can help. Usually people think it, as David said, it's different than consultants, but still people see it as a consultant who will help me out in several day-to-day jobs, which is not that case what you want to do. One other thing, what I would say, is that the lack of quality or standards is also could be a problem, especially at the beginning where nobody knows it. So anybody can be a business coach, which could be an issue at the beginning. And one of the also things that I think is the lack of trust or openness. I think the trust is one of the main things that you need to have with a business coach, and on the level of the trust is how a business coach can get you the most. And I would say the commitment from the perspective of a company who is utilizing the business coach could also have a key problem or issue at the hand. If they're not satisfied and committed with it, they will utilize the business coach. I think that mostly you can address this by sharing information, education. This type of podcasts could help out, engage
Absolutely.
with people, showcasing them, the best, I mean, the cases that are good,
Case
building
studies.
exactly, case studies.
Yeah.
And this type of, let's say, establishing and maintaining the quality of business coach on a general sense, something that can be addressed and help out all the issues at hand from the business coaches.
Absolutely. Very informative. Thank you there, Marco. I can actually elaborate on that from the Quest Solutions partners side. Is that our biggest objective we're facing currently is that people aren't really familiar with the role of a business coach. They love the profile. They love what we stand for when they see my profile and that I send through, but they're not actually aware of it. And because it's very new in South Africa, again, we need to educate the public and the business owners and directors and the decision makers on the actual objective and role of a business coach and what we plan on doing with them, and then executing it to the standard that they want. Yeah, brilliant.
I would just add that at the beginning, when you establish this type of, let's say, help out to the business owners or CEOs, I think the best way is nurturing this, let's say, people just sharing their experience with business coaches. So word of mouth at the beginning is really important, just to establish the quality of the service, let's say it like that, and then building up on top of that is quite useful through education and everything that we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Marco. Dave, over to you. How can a business coach help employees and leaders develop their professional skills and achieve their goals that they're actually wanting to achieve in the business sector?
Yeah, so, one thing to build out the relationship, people want to trust you, right? And I think more than ever, no one's looking for someone that they don't understand or trust. So you have to that point, build that education, right? In there, because if you just say you're a business coach, what does that mean, right? If you got to be definitive. But to help, a business coach really can assist professional business leaders, employees, identify first their strengths, right? And what are their pain points? I always say, what's keeping you on Pain Island, and how can I help you get to Pleasure Island, right? So what are your challenges? Set goals to that and strategies, and then provide those strategies for skill development and a process that will help them either advance in their career, advance in their business, or move forward. The goal is to put a roadmap that's unique to them, and that is able to focus on their goals as long as they have the mindset and they are able to push forward, because it is their business.
Yeah, and I think one of the key aspects in that whole realm is ensuring that each account is treated differently. So every account you work with will be handled differently. They'll
Yes.
have different pain points, as we call it in business coaching, and issues to overcome, different set of strategies, different goals, different
Yeah.
objectives within the organization.
Yeah. There's no set
Great.
template for everybody. You might have a core, fundamentals, but everyone's going to be different on what they need
Yeah,
and how they are.
brilliant. Thank you. Marco, over to you. How can business coaches help leaders and managers navigate through periods of change, growth, or uncertainty within the organization that they're running?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So business coaches can, I would say, help leaders navigate through the change just by clarifying, aligning their vision, the values and the goals that want to implement the change into their organizations. Um, Also, one of the things I think is really important is challenging their possibilities and opportunities. Usually, when you are on day-to-day job, then you don't see the big picture. You don't see the expenditure of the values, or let's say the possibilities that are open for your company and what you can do out of it. I think that facilitating their action plans and solutions by empowering and motivating them are really important from the perspective of business coach to the owners. And accountability is really important in this process. So they need to understand what is their accountability in the whole system of their company, and also what business coaches can help them out. I would just state also that supporting their coping and achievement could be of great value from business
Yeah.
coach to the let's say managers and the leaders of the company.
Yeah, brilliant. Nice, innovative, great answer. Quest Solution Partners adopts the mindset of overcoming mindset barriers that can be blocking them from overcoming it. So looking at things like what is holding them back, what anxieties are they facing, what can't they get over? I mean, a mental block almost. As we as coaches know, we try and train them to overcome those mental blocks in order to achieve the greatness that they have. Right. Thank you for that, Dave. Over to you. What are the key benefits of investing in a business coach for employees at various levels, from entry level to executive level?
Sure. So, one of the things I've realized over the years is that first conversation with someone that potentially is looking for a coach, they have to understand what their investment gets, and you as a coach have to understand if you can actually help them, and do they have the mindset and that. So that's the very first part, because a lot of people are going to look at the immediate today and not
Mm,
understand maybe the future. So I think for all levels, you have to tailor professional development to them, right? So what is it that they're trying to do? What is it they want, whether it's their business or themselves? And help them improve those decision making skills, get over some hurdles there, and find out and help them with confidence, right?
yeah,
So basically, you want to be a leader. I always say to people, well, what type of executive do you want to be? Are you
yeah,
prepared? Are you prepared to work executive hours? Are you prepared to balance things there? Because if you're not a healthy executive, it filters down. So it's not just skills, it's also your how you do things, how you eat, how you take care of yourself to be a leader, right?
yeah,
Because when I started out in sales, all people wanted you to do was climb the mountain, sell, make money, and no one was there to really teach you, right?
yeah,
And so I
yeah.
feel like there's a huge opportunity to help them understand what it is they want, but then help them go get it.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. What we do at Quest Solution Partners is obviously when you try and onboard a new account, during the SWOT, the market analysis of the organization, during the SWOT analysis, as you mentioned, Dave, when you look at the strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats that the organization's facing, you also look at their key, as you mentioned, what are they wanting out of it? So what are their key objectives? So may it be to increase profit share, or their staff development, or their employment, or as you said, the guys want to climb the corporate ladder within the organization. There are different aspects of a business coach that you deal with from each one, and each one's got to be on merit almost. You're right. By identifying those needs of the organization before pursuing it makes 100%. Marco, over to you. What are the qualities or criteria that businesses should look for when selecting a business coach to work for the employees and to try and motivate their leaders?
First and foremost, I think qualifications and credentials are really important. I think also, like I mentioned already before, like word of mouth is something that maybe at the beginning is the best way how to utilize and use the business coaches. And from that sense, I think experience and expertise is something you need to think about the person that you are using or utilizing for a business coach and getting them on board. They need to understand the business you are in, and also, let's say, how you work, and they have to have the expertise and knowledge how to do it. Also, the compatibility, I would say, also with the company itself. Sometimes it's not necessarily that you as a business coach can manage and go into any type of organization. You need to have a compatibility with the people who are working there and the culture that is nurtured there. Because if you are not, just from my perspective, I think if the organization is purely sales driven, and if you're not a salesperson, then you will struggle with the whole process of business coaching. So you need to understand how the culture, and you need to be compatible with them. And I think one of the also really important thing is the flexibility and adaptability of the business coach to any situation that is there. So I would say these are the key factors that I think are most necessarily important for the picking up the business coach for yourself and your company.
Brilliant. Thank you. Dave, over to you. In what way can a business coach contribute to enhancing team dynamics, communication, and collaboration in the workplace?
So this has become a big opportunity one, because as we all know, in the last couple of years, there's a lot more hybrid or working remote. So you used to be in an office where, you're with your fellow coworkers, going to lunch, talking, collaborating. Well, now you're on your own island, I call it, right? And so it's very important more than ever to try to keep that team, and how do you collaborate? So I think, for business coaches, it's really facilitating how do you better communicate, whether you're on the road or in an office, and how do you resolve those conflicts when it comes up, and what type of conflicts could come up, right? And how do you make that a collaborative environment? You don't have your boss necessarily coming up to you every day saying, how's it going? You're doing great. Now they're saying, what are you working on again? And so it's become more results versus work 9 to 5. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, help them understand that, different perspectives, and you still have to enhance the team cohesion. But at the end of the day, it's how do we all get results, and how do we all continue to be on the same page, same goals, same mission, and that's it. But it's definitely different than what it used to be, because of some of these the new normal that we work in.
Yeah. And I think since the pandemic, a lot of businesses have been turned upside down, almost, as you mentioned now, Dave. That micromanaging is gone. That's a thing of the past. It's all about the team now and the objectives and getting it done. And, nobody's checking on you every 10 minutes like they used to in the sort of olden
days. And there's
days.
CEOs and stuff, you work with leaders, they're struggling because they were a micromanager, right? Or they knew. So all of a sudden now their employee's not there. So they're trying to figure out, the employee who thought this is going to be awesome is distracted, or whatever. So I teach people, like, you have to treat it like you're going to work in an office. You have to, if you're a boss, you just have to put some systems in place. It's a different thing, but you still can manage properly. Maybe not micromanage, but you can still manage properly.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. And then your last question for the day or the session, Marco. Can you share any success stories or examples of our businesses that benefited from implementing your business coaching program into their organization?
Yeah, I can share one company. It's a pretty large one here in Croatia. They're working in medical services. They had issues in transforming, in a sense that David already mentioned. It's the pandemic hit, and then it was a struggle between the whole process, because they need physical people in their offices. But then again, sometimes it's really a hard thing, and it was really at the end, I think the worst thing was the part between the people. So getting a again, team effort, the team conference, I would say, in the sense that everybody is going in the right direction and not in the 360 around and then pulling outside and stuff like that. So from that perspective, I think at this moment, I see that the most focus from the business coach is on building the new capacities and team strengths, removing the micromanagement completely from any organization. This is what I see are the key things happening right now.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Marco. And for yourself, Dave, last question for the session. Can you share any success stories or examples how you've implemented your business coaching into organizations in the US where they've obviously benefited greatly from your services?
Yep. So I'm a big believer in, well, success can be defined in a lot of ways, but the thing I focus on, and a couple clients I've had is, they might say, well, I want to do all this revenue in the next 3 years, or I want to do this. And my first question is, well, how are you going to get there? And that to me is, what's your process? What's your strategy? If you're focusing on, you need to focus every day on the process that's getting you closer every day to that. So if you want to do $1 million, you have to do things now every day, and you have to block out the noise, because what happens is you have to block out the noise of all the people coming at you, telling you, you should do this, do that, questions, whatever. You have to focus on your vision and your goals. So one particular case I'll leave you with, I had this marketing person. He does website design and that. His challenge was he had all these things going on and he was like not following through or getting to them. Well, the thing is you don't have a process. You don't have a strategy. You need to do that. Started doing that, and he saw himself more comfortable, and he was starting to execute better, giving his clients results. So, it's just like in the food business. If somebody wants to sell in retail and they fail, it might not be because of their product. It could be because they didn't have the right process or education to do it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today, Dave and Marco. It was really informative, and I hope the public and everyone who tuned in took much from the podcast. Just to let the public know and everyone who has tuned in, we're going to be hosting this every month on the 25th in Global Conversations with Quest Solution Partners. Next month will be hopefully the three of us again, as well as a Belgium gent who's involved in the business coaching sector there. If there's any questions or anyone wanting to inquire anything from the three of us, please feel free to drop an email through afterwards. And Dave, I don't know if you'd like to end off with a few words.
No, I just like I said, thanks. I think this, it's a good platform, and I think as it goes on, we're taking the real questions from some business people that are listening, that are that have questions, or they're trying to figure out, how do I get from point A to B? And and I think that's something that would be very valuable as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Marco, would you like to say a few words before we end off?
I think David really did it the good way. I just want to acknowledge again, thank you for the podcast, for inviting me, and so I can share my experience and knowledge that I have right now, and maybe helping out somebody to easily expand